One Piece and fatherhood. The two go hand in hand. When you have Garp, Dragon, Kozuki Odin in Wano, and even Yasui, one of the late fathers in One Piece. The theme and the story are intertwined. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Fatherhood in One Piece. If the thumbnail and the title didn't give it away, here it is, in the first 20 seconds. Fatherhood in One Piece, deeply intertwined. A theme with a story. Oda has intentionally done this multiple times throughout the over 1,000 chapter long run. And this is most likely due to fathers just mattering a lot. And there's a lot of lineages. It's more broadly lineages. But I think Oda focuses enough on fathers to make it worth a discussion. Now, brief preface, this is a school project. But I will try not to let that affect the YouTube side of things. I'll try to discuss it in the most YouTube-friendly way. I'll just have to do it in an also school-friendly way. That's not going to help things when the man gets boiled alive. Alright, so first off, we'll start off with some brief before Wano, because this is fatherhood in Wano. We'll start off with some brief before Wano fathers. You have Goldie Roger, you have Monkey D. Dragon, you have Garp, you have Whitebeard, and you have all these famous figures who serve as fathers to people. But recently, in the Wano arc, we were just introduced to some new fathers that redefined the theme as we know it. That being Yasui, the father of Toko, and Kozuki Odin, the father of the future Wano. More specifically, I'm going to be covering Kozuki Odin first. Kozuki Odin is a wild man, to say the least, at least in his younger years. As we see from his flashback, he is a rambunctious and adventurous man who chases adventure at each opportunity. And over the course of his life, he builds up a ragtag band of misfits, outcasts, and just generally looked down upon peoples, whether that be the Kappa or the Minks. These creatures are generally cast aside by Wano society, but are picked up by this Allfather, Odin. And that's a good place to start with his name. Odin is not specifically spelled like the Norse myth, but the names are similar because they're literally the same. So it's hard to ignore the connection between his names. Odin is literally the Allfather in Norse mythology, giving Odin this mythical vibe in One Piece. And there was a mythical vibe with him for a long time before we got his flashback recently in the manga, which this will involve manga spoilers. Sorry if that's not apparent yet. But Odin as a character is deeply intertwined with the theme of fatherhood. Even before he met his future wife, he adopted the 9 Red Scabbards. And now the 9 Red Scabbards are important to touch upon because they are essentially children of Odin, and they support the real child of Odin, that being Momonosuke, but they themselves all have a debt, a life debt that is similar to that of a father giving birth to a son. It is similar to that of having blood running through their veins, because I think that all the Scabbards would say that they have Kozuki blood running in their veins unofficially. And that's because of the mentorship and camaraderie that Odin offered them. Now, do I have a good segue? I'm going to say no, I don't have a good segue. Except that this also takes place in the Wano arc. It's Yasui. Yasui is a father of a much more tragic variety, and I get that being boiled alive is a bit tragic for Odin, but Yasui, on his deathbed, was forced to do nothing but smile through the pain due to the failed smile fruits experiments that Kaido performed on the general masses. He was forced to smile through his execution, doing the best he could to delay the inevitable of the rebellion getting found out. And that's not the only thing he prevented. He prevented the loss of innocence of a lot of his friends and family, because frankly his death could have went a whole lot different than what it did, but with his clever maneuvering and tactics he was able to make it so that Toko and generally just the whole town had a better out than they would have if the Straw Hats were not there. And by buying time for the rebellion, he is saving Wano as a whole. Now Yasui, you cannot talk about Yasui without talking about Toko. A heartbreaking moment when Toko can only laugh and cry through tears of laughter at her father's death is profoundly heartbreaking, because there's only one thing worse than losing a parent, and that's losing a child. But second place is still up there when you're talking about death of a loved one, a significant loved one. And seeing that panel of Toko not crying but laughing, I really felt what Nami was feeling. why the hell isn't she crying? And that's what really sets Kaido up as a villain. And the next person I want to talk about is Kaido, because recently, this is Act 3 spoilers going ahead, it's revealed that he has a son, Yamato. Don't let his appearance fool you, it's a he. He identifies as a he, so I'm going to call him a he. Yamato was locked up, and we discovered this chapter 999. Just came out. The scans just came out today. He was chained up for most of his childhood, and he was basically forced to be his father's perfect son, which probably wasn't easy, considering you have one of the world's strongest things on Earth. So Yamato obviously didn't have an easy childhood, and the only way he kept sane was basically by clinging to extraordinary dreams of the man Kozuki Odin. And in that way, you can kind of say that Yamato is also a child of Odin, as I think he picked up a lot more things from Odin than he did from Kaido. And going forward, I think we'll see kind of the mix that Kaido and Odin's influence make in Yamato. So that's very interesting. If Yamato does join the Straw Hat crew, little aside, it'd be awesome. Anyways, that was just my little discussion of fathers in One Piece and how they affect the current story and the current arc, and just basically describing how important they are to the plot. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Peace.